how to make this with other non-force compliance, or maybe we don't even have to mandate at all.
Interesting thought. Anyone would like to raise a question, raise a point here, make a comment? Thank you very much, Kodiarat. It's a very topical issue. I don't think we have cracked it. If you look at the adoption across the supply chain, even with the mandate, it seems to have influenced only certain part of the industry, but not every part of industry. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mohammed.
Thank you very much. Now this takes us to the next paper. Shoaib, is it going to be 63?
75.
Sorry, 75. Absolutely.
Do we have Fazad in the house?
Farzad? Are you around, Farzad? I know he was in yesterday.
So if Fazad is not available, should we move to the next or should we play it?
I don't think we have any of the other authors have a problem with the time. No, I think we'll play it. We'll stick to the schedule, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. It hasn't started.
You can't hear?
No.
No? Okay.
Integration by evaluating the...
Is it better now?
Hello, everyone. My name is Farzad Jalai. I'm a research associate at National Research Council of Canada. The project I'm going to present today is the BIM-based lifecycle assessment integration by evaluating the environmental impacts of whole building at the early design stage of building project. This paper is co-authored by my colleague, Jeff Guest. So this research objective is to analyze and better understand the effects that the non-stationary climate and prospective electricity grid mix have on whole building lifecycle assessment projects, with considering the regions with different climate and grid mix in Canadian cities. And we did the contrast with the differences between whole building lifecycle assessment results when considering such dynamic conditions when compared to typical current static condition. So we also develop a highly automated workflow and framework to better enable the widespread application of dynamic whole building LCA simulations. This is the whole overview of the project methodology. As you can see, this project is conducted at the conceptual stage. So the main contribution is integrating the building information modeling concept with life cycle assessment to assist the designers choose the materials and components that have lower environmental impacts. So this will also promote the sustainable development practices by incorporating environmental improvement approaches within the project. So as you can see, we have the 3D model as a case study in building information modeling environment. So we did the quantity takeoff, extraction or bill of material extraction automatically and input it into the developed BIM-based plugin to automatically map with the lifecycle inventory data, which we use the co-invent, and it is going to be done in different stages of the project lifecycle to calculate the embodied life cycle impacts of building. The operational life cycle impacts is also going to be done by like calculating and measuring the local future weather data by combining the observational climate data from like stations that is close to the case study locations, along with the Canadian Regional Climate Model large ensemble climate database. So to make it very simple, I'm going to show you here, which is like, this is two pathways that we are going to follow in this research, which we have the BEAM model. We are going to measure the embodied impact by using our developed BEAM plugin to connect or integrate the life cycle inventory into the bill of material coming from the design and put it in the OpenLCA to calculate and measure the embodied impacts. We use our studio and like in the Energy Plus by developing the climate and grid mix files to measure the operational impacts and define some scenarios for different locations based on combination of static and dynamic climate and grid mixes. So to compare it in different regions with different type of climates. Regarding calculation of embodied impacts, as you can see, these are different snapshots of the developed plugin in BEAM environment, building information modeling environment. I will walk you through some large images here, which is like the general parameters of the plugin, which is like directly opens up in the BEAM environment. You can like specify the life expectancy along with the type of structure and usage of the building, and you can automatically connect your plugin to the Google Map application programming interface to locate the project. And as you can see, after that, in the plugin, the bill of material is automatically extracted from BEAM model and shown up in the plugin. So we use also like color coding to navigate what items are mapped, or what items is going to be mapped, or what items or bill of materials are not mapped yet. So the user can easily see what is extracted and what relevant processes in the lifecycle inventory is available to be mapped with that extracted item from design. So by doing so, in each life cycle of the project, like production, and the same story in the construction, like the transportation. For the transportation, for example, if you specify the location of the supplier of that material, the Google Map can automatically calculate the distance and attach it to the type of transportation related process in the construction stage. So this process is going to be done by the end of life stage, and by selecting the right life cycle impact method, the JSON type file is extracted from the BEAM plugin, which can be imported into the OpenLCA. So in the imported file, you can see all the processes and the product system are mapped to each other, which directly directs the user to the life cycle impact assessment results. So yeah, I believe that's it for this presentation. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation. And if you are interested, please like be in touch with me in my email, like it's farzad.jalai@nrc-cnrc.gc.ca.
All right, we reached the end. Do we have Farzad with us? I don't think we have Farzad with us. You've seen his email. I'm conscious of the time, so please, if you have any comment, question, it sounds very interesting, integrating BIM, lifecycle costing, and local environment. Is it 63 now? We're moving to Shaib?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Prem Kumar, I think we have Prem Kumar, yes?
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much.
Hi, sir.
Thank you. Okay, let's play.
Hello, everyone. Greetings. I am Prem Kumar Kupadakat, a research scholar, Heriot-Watt University, Dubai campus. Topic is Perspective of Public-Private Partnership, PPP, in various economies. Public-private partnership, PPP, is the best tool used in many countries for developing and financing public services and infrastructure. But many countries has not fully managed to utilize the benefit of PPP effectively and faced different challenges to implement and execute PPP project successfully. Challenges and various factors affecting the success and failure of PPP implementation in various economies to be investigated to formulate appropriate framework for PPP implementation. This paper analyzed the implementation of PPP in various economies covering different regions in Europe, Asia, and Middle East, where PPP is considered as a major alternative for the economic development. Both qualitative and quantitative approach was used during the literature survey, and the conclusions are based on inductive and abductive approaches. PPP was introduced first in the UK in the form of the Private Finance Initiative, PFI. A key criticism of the original PFI model was a lack of understanding and transparency of the financial returns earned by the project company shareholders. PFI projects involve a long-term relationship. Success can be achieved only if the public authority and the contractor approach the project in the spirit of partnership, with understanding of each other's business and a common vision of how best they can work together. Three critical success factors: a strong private consortium, appropriate risk allocation, and available financial market emerged as being the most important in the development of successful PFI projects. In China, for a long period, there was no loss in the areas of PPPs. China's PPP plan was aggressive, but its implementation was poor. Regulations, notice, and orders played both positive and negative roles on the PPP market. Inadequate risk-sharing arrangements haunted the first generation of PPPs and resulted in large contract renegotiations. The State Council prohibited the practice of guaranteeing a fixed returns for foreign companies at all the levels of governments, forcing them to renegotiate many existing PPP contracts. As a consequence, the participation of the foreign companies in PPPs in China gradually faded away. The top 5 important CSF are reasonable risk allocation, government support and guarantee, selection of project, a strong project consortium, and project technical feasibility. In Germany, 2 critical challenges affecting the outcomes of PPP are a participation deficit and a lack of integrity. To create successful PPPs, one has to reduce transaction cost and taking into consideration the agency problem. PPPs can be turned to be successful when there is a general fit in the partnership. When the partnership lacks balance and expertise, this may lead to information asymmetries. There has been remarkable growth of PPP projects in India during last 1.5 decades. According to the PPPI database of the World Bank, India has the second highest number of PPP projects. Since the whole concept of PPP is quite new in the country, there is no proper PPP regulations in India. The entire process of creating a PPP arrangement is very long and redundant with a lot of formalities. Many projects lack diligent studies and technical research. Project plans are of poor quality and lack attention to details. This creates problems related to the scope changes and variations during project execution. The stake of central and state governments' responsibility and risk sharing in the project are circumstantial and are likely to vary from one contract to another. One of the most discussed problems related to the PPPs is the lack of transparency and a strong legal framework. In Saudi Arabia, there is no proper framework for large-scale PPP projects. International sponsors find it difficult to follow Sharia-compliant PPP structures. All the PPP projects in Saudi Arabia should follow the principles of Saudi law, which is difficult to follow for the sponsors, contractors, and lenders who may not have prior experience with the Saudi judicial and legal framework. A lack of efficient risk management and mitigation mechanism for the project has been considered as a critical failure factors by many researchers. Other most highly ranked factors are project management deficiencies, well-defined legal framework, government interference, and the constraint imposed by the stakeholders. Qatar acknowledged the PPP phenomenon very recently. One of the long-term objectives of Qatar's National Vision 2030 is to encourage PPP. Qatar did not consider PPP approach for mega infrastructure projects for a number of reasons. First, there was a pressure on the government to deliver on-time infrastructure for the 2022 FIFA World Cup, and this did not go with the complexities and lengthy procedures normally needed for PPP contract. Second, both the hesitance of international private companies to assume the project's risk and the availability of sufficient funds. In Qatar National Development Strategy, NDS2, the reference to the maximize the PPP participation were emphasized to be one among the success factors. With the low oil prices and extremely tight budgets, Sultanate of Oman was looking upon the PPP as a way to boost the economic growth by implementing the investment and diversification agenda for the country's 9th five-year plan and its Vision 2040. An extensive program of training to ensure that ministries can properly manage the PPP contracts, as the PPP requires a totally different approach. PPPs can offer a proper alternative to traditional procurement methods in Oman, but a number of conditions must be met to create a successful PPP, such as availability and effectiveness of a proper and regulatory framework for PPP, availability of the financial market, both local and international, political support, a proper risk allocation, and finally, clear project brief and client outcomes. All the countries face certain challenges for the successful completion of the PPP project. Though there exist different laws and authorities to ensure the smooth functioning of PPP, these authorities are in turn controlled and managed by the existing government bodies, which makes the different stages of the PPP projects tedious. The sharing of the underlying risk of the projects are not properly defined, analyzed, and shared between the participating public and private parties. All the PPP projects should undergo diligent studies and thorough technical research before implementation. To conclude, every country should have a separate body which can control the PPP project independently, and the whole process, the concept to realization, should be simple and transparent. Latest technologies and innovative systems in construction management should be adopted in all stages of PPP implementation. Moreover, an independent project management consultancy should be appointed to ensure the smooth functioning and successful completion of the PPP projects. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I hope you don't mind. Can we postpone the questions to the end of this session so we can save time? The next one is paper 46. Ibrahim Karan. Do we have Ibrahim? Yes, I think we have Ibrahim. Ibrahim, are you still with us? Shoaib?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you very much. Shoaib, if you start the presentation, paper 46, please.
Okay, I'll mute myself. Then when for the question, I'll unmute myself.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the presentation for the paper, but using artificial intelligence to automate the quantity takeoff process in cost estimating. Folks, my name is Ibrahim Karan, and I'm an associate professor of construction management at the Department of Engineering Technology at Sam Houston State University in Texas, USA. Other people helped me on this study. You can see their names on here, and I would like to thank them as well for their contribution to this study. Okay, artificial intelligence, of course, is a huge topic, and I'm trying to find an application of this one in construction. And I just show what should we do to better use AI in our process. So I picked cost estimation because it's a time-consuming process. You know, most of it, of course, is because of the quantity takeoff, that in which we are going to obtain a quantity measurement from construction plans, and then we provide a list of materials needed to complete the project. And of course, if we know that the cost associated with those materials and the resources, we are able to estimate the cost. Of course, right now we are using CAD programs, BIM tools, not to mention there are many cost estimation software as well. All of them are very helpful. But still, we spend lots of time on just estimating the cost, taking off the quantities, and in some cases, the time that we spend doesn't make enough sense to actually do it and come up with a detailed estimate. Maybe artificial intelligence would be a solution for doing that one. So look, I have reviewed available computer tools in cost estimation, okay? And to see what we can do. Of course, they are great. They help us a lot, but still you need some people with the knowledge of construction, architectural drawing, to sit and use them and get us the takeoff and last the estimate, okay? And again, still the time that we spend is a huge factor here. So I wonder if we can automate the process and reduce the time that we spend, and what else do we need to do that for? So that's pretty much the gap, and that's the objective for this project, okay? Just to let you know, still we have, of course, good computer tools, but it's fair to say this one, two-dimensional drawing, in many cases, they are shared as PDF in contract and project, or is dominating the market. So the input is pretty much a 2D construction documents, even if the program to produce them is a 3D, okay? And the job of the estimator is to get the quantities, link them to the cost, and come up with the total cost for the project. So in this case, I'm trying to see what AI technologies can be used and how we can use them with the input of these two-dimensional construction drawings and get the output of an estimate. So that's the goal and objective for this paper. Okay, I again review of the software would again show me that it's still some background knowledge is needed. Not to mention, of course, you need people to know how we can deal with those programs. Okay, and this is pretty much the process. And also here I would show how or what AI techniques we can use to automate the process. First of all, it comes to the scope of the project, and in many cases, they are categorized based on some standard format. For example, master format is the one that we use in the US. It organizes the information and the divisions based on the scope of the work. Right now, it has like 35 divisions that actually we use that one in this study as well. So that would help us to better find the scope of the project. And pretty much we follow the a typical process that is happening in the hand and mind of an estimator, and try to, again, bring in an AI to do the same thing. keyword searching. So pretty much that would be the very first thing that we as the estimator would do, to just find out the information under the right sheet. If you are going to find out something about concrete and you are a concrete subcontractor, of course the keyword concrete would be highly needed. So you would like to know where they mentioned concrete in the project to find information regarding that one. Okay, and of course in that part, as you move on from one item to the other one, you update your takeoff list. For example, the concrete, a reinforcement. Then based on that one, you may go ahead and do the formwork, etc. And then of course you after you find the information, for example, when you find the right sheet for your project, you're gonna measure the quantities, take the measurement, and then you're gonna find out unit prices for them. If you have some historical data, you may use those, or in some cases we are using other sources, like in the US, our estimates would be a very good option to use. And again, then if that cost item can be used depending on the site condition, equipment needed, etc., then of course we're going to use and put it there. And of course that's how we can go with that estimate. So that's the price, and here you can see where we can use AI technique. And in a moment, I'm going to briefly tell you about each one of them. So here are 10 divisions of master format. We review them to see what AI techniques can be used, or they are highly needed for this one. So you can see text mining and machine learning is pretty much on the top of the list. Image processing and expert system, in few cases, we really need them. And let me tell you why we actually need those ones. Let me start with text mining. All the time, we would like to know that the source of the information. Although the drawings are made with lines and symbols, but there are many nodes that can help us to find the information. Even if you have something shown by a symbol, you might be able to find that one in the legend. For example, a keyword for the wall, concrete, lumber board, etc. So pretty much text mining is the very first technique that you may use. And then you need to take off the quantities. In that case, image processing techniques must be used, especially digital image processing, because you would like to know the length of the line, a count of the number, areas for surfaces, etc. But it's not always the case, because sometimes some information are not directly shown on the drawing. For example, if you are going to find out the area of the wall, you can only see the length of it on the drawing. But if you can use a machine learning technique to find the height of the wall from some other sources, that's how you can get the surface area. An expert system last is needed to link those ones to the cost estimate, to the quantities to find out the total cost for the project. So these are the techniques that are frequently used in cost estimation, and of course further development would be needed to develop an AI.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for this very interesting presentation on AI and taking off. Okay, it's the last paper, I think, Shoaib, we're having 50?
Yes, paper 50.
Okay, let's do that, and then we can take questions from the audience.
Hello, everybody. Isn't it amazing that today we are connected across geography and time on the same platform? A lot has changed in the last 25 years. I'm Sundar, and today I'm going to take you on a journey of how the process of claims management has changed from manual to digital. But before we go on this journey, we need to understand what is claims and how do we manage it. I'm sure all of us would have heard the story, I Want More, from Oliver Twist. Well, claims is about wanting more. Either it's time or money or both. But just because you want more doesn't mean you get it. You need to convince the other side that you deserve it. This process of convincing the other side is the process of claims management. You identify a claim, you tell the other side that you are going to claim, you record it, you present it, and then voila. you get what you want. Simple, isn't it? Alas, it's not so. That's what the studies have suggested. A number of times you actually fail to record something, you don't know what to record, you delay in notifying, you delay in telling others, you don't have proper processes or storage to record it, sometimes the document get destroyed, or sometimes you don't document at all because of laziness. So what happens when you don't do this claims management properly? You lose the claim and eventually you lose money. Isn't the business about making money, profits? So what do? Well, the professor always tells me, if a computer can do something better, let it do it. It is faster, it's accurate, and it takes less storage space. A few of the advantages it has. Imagine the size of the room to store information for a 6-year-long project and the time taken to retrieve the information. Mind-boggling, isn't it? The computer can actually do it in a jiffy, and the storage space, it's the size of a thumb. This process of digitizing and moving into systems started around 30 years ago with the development of expert systems. Expert systems try to replicate human experts, a rare commodity even today. But the systems are based on rules. So if rules are not there, then you cannot have an advice. So if something new happens, because the system does not have a rule, you cannot do anything about it. The neural networks developed as a thinking system, which would learn from the past events. But the problem here was the system thought too much, and the results went haywire. In the meanwhile, you had some supporting systems like database management, document management system, recording systems, communication systems, storage systems, which kind of focus a part of the claims management system, or just one aspect of it. Then the turn of the century saw the web. You could connect anytime, anywhere. Just imagine, in the middle of the night, you could communicate to your friend across the globe. That was technology. But if you don't have internet, you cannot connect. And in most construction sites, that was the problem. In most cases, we were the ones who were going and erecting the towers. And no towers, no internet. Who knows, maybe in the future it might change, but as of now, it's still that. BIM gave a new dimension altogether. You could see what's happening, you could understand with visualization, instead of simply imagining things. But BIM is expensive, and you need experts to operate it. But today, it's still expensive for the small industries to adopt technology. And the system needs to be cheap, among other requirements, if it has to become popular. So where do we go from here? IR4 talks about fully automated processes with little human efforts. It talks about making processes seamless. Cloud gives an option of shared services, shared platforms, shared spaces, which actually reduces costs and which can actually attract more users to move towards technology. The small industries which are reluctant to spend could be benefited through this because it costs less. But nothing comes without a problem. Imagine your head office is in UK, the project is in Dubai, and the system is based in Malaysia. Which laws apply? Who owns the data? How safe is it? What is the guarantee that my data is secure? Nobody is pilfering it. And what happens when there is a problem in Malaysia? How do I access that data? So there are a few problems, and the solution for these are being looked into, and in the near future, there is a good possibility that we'll find solutions to most of these problems. So what did we learn today? If you don't follow the claims management process properly, you end up making losses. Computers have helped improving the process, but it needs further improvement. Now, cloud technology has the facility to improve this. And I, as a part of my doctoral research, am working on developing a framework to improve a part of claims management based on cloud. As one famous professor of history quotes, our ancestors looked up to the cloud for solutions. So will the coming generation. But that will be a different case.
Thank you very much, Narayan. Very interesting presentation. I would like now to open the floor for any questions regarding the presentation by Prem Kumar, Ibrahim, and Narayan. Anyone would like to make a comment or ask a question? Three very interesting presentations.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. My question is to Prem Kumar regarding the PPP. I'd just like to know, the sort of inclusion criteria that was used for the research to understand how focus was on the country highlighted on the PPP. That would be my first question. Thank you.
Hi. Hi.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. Basically, from I have taken a huge research articles from 90s to 2000, as 2000, then 2000 to 2010. It's a different batch of the documents and journal papers, and from then 2013 to 2020. So this is the main basis of whole the paper.
Thank you very much. We have a question. We have someone with hands up. Yes.
Yeah, I'm Narayan. I was the last presenter.
Yes.
My question is to Prem. From the data which we have seen, a lot of countries are now going for PPP format. So would it be a good idea now for the countries to collaborate and probably look at a standard form across the globe for the PPP contracts?
Prem Kumar, that's the question to you.
Yeah, actually, the main issue of implementation of the PPP is it's differ from country to country. So we cannot have one single framework for each country, because different country have different basis, different political situations, and even the country's economic condition also will be different, and the infrastructure, the facilities. So many things are dependent. That's the reason one of the main aspect of this is we have to form a customized framework for each country. We cannot go for a general thing, because there are so many aspects are there, especially the main aspect of risk sharing, which will vary from country to country. So accordingly, the private party has to be given assurance for how we can cover the risk which they have taken.
I think, thank you very much, Prem Kumar. I think there are two dimensions, and I can see where you're coming from in your question. At one hand, I agree with you that it's the nature of PPP make it sensitive to local culture, the nature of government and its relationship with its people and what have you. But at the same time, and I think that's the point that Sneed's coming from, is that it's an international, the nature of PPP tend to involve international players. And therefore, there are issues as they come to evaluate the viability and feasibility of PPP. That's where countries struggle in financing, in finding potential sponsors for their PPP projects. Thank you very much. Any questions to Ibrahim or Narayan? Interesting use of AI yes, Sharon.
My question is to Narayan. Considering the challenges that he has enumerated about cloud computing, where do you think we stand globally with respect to control of governance and security, considering there are multiple cloud management companies?
Okay, thank you for the question, Sharon. It's a very interesting thing. We are actually at a very nascent stage, especially in construction industry in terms of IR4. And I think it's been enumerated in last 2 days across all the speeches that there is still a long way to go in formulating uniform laws across the countries, and in terms of not just the infrastructure, but also in terms of ethics. Because in cloud, and when you start having uniform laws across, then ethics also plays a very important role. So we still have a long way to go, but the way AI is progressing, I mean, if you look at last 25 years, from what I've seen, the way we have gone from paper-based to digitization has been very fast. Unlike the other two industrial revolutions. So who knows, maybe it might be faster than we expect for finding solutions of all the challenges in cloud. Have I answered?
Yes, kind of. I do agree. It was a very good presentation, and I do agree that there's a lot of scope ahead for, especially for this kind of research and claims management with respect to digital space. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's interesting, Narayan, the issue of claim management and the interaction between different parties to the project, and they're thinking about how to digitize that. I think you're rightly so saying that if you don't have effective claim management, it can undermine your firm. Actually, there are case studies that shows that some smaller firms, because of failure to manage claims, has led to the firm going bust. They were doing very well in terms of the project itself, but they were not able to make the right claims to cover their cost. Anyone else? Anyone want to say anything before we close? No. Okay. Can I ask you to join us in the main room? We will not we will not take a lot of your time, but we would like very much to look at everything we've done last 2 days, and hopefully some conclusion and some advice from you about how and where we should be going. Okay, thank you all very much, and see you in a minute in the main room.
Thank you, Dr. Dulaimi. It's been a wonderful conference, very interesting topics, and a lot of inspiration, especially for us, in the research field, to look into various perspectives of the construction industry.
Thank you very much, Sharon. And this is why we're organizing it. This is what the CIB wants to do. So I'm very pleased that you find it exciting and inspiring. See you in the main room. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.